I always wanted to be an inspiration for people. I do want to set an example, of course. I want to inspire you to work out, keep yourself fit, lay off junk food, create a vision, and use your will to accomplish it. I want you to throw away the mirror, for instance, and not always look at yourself, but get involved in public service and give something back to the community. I want you to protect the environment rather than to mess it up. I'm very happy to take the torch and to be a role model for others, because I've always had great role models myself, like Reg Park, or Muhammad Ali, Sargent Shriver, Milton Berle, Nelson Mandela, Milton Friedman. They're all great role models. I thought of myself as special and unique, and not like the average Hans and Franz. Being outrageous is a way to succeed. How I dressed, how I talked, I always would look for my own way of doing things. Of course, being different was right up my alley. I didn't have the same body as everyone else, and I didn't have the same car as everyone else. I always wanted to be different. But life is much richer when we embrace the multitudes that we all contain, even if we aren't consistent, and what we do doesn't always make sense even to us. When I talk to graduating classes, I always tell a brief version of the story of my life and try to offer lessons everyone can use, like have a vision, trust yourself, break some rules, ignore the naysayers, don't be afraid to fail. Woven through the stories in this memoir are some of the principles of success that have worked for me. Turning liabilities into assets. When I wanted to star in movies, the Hollywood agents and the producers, they all talked to me and said, forget about it. My body and my name and my accent were all too weird. They said, a body like that will be used maybe in Hercules movies, and people will be scared with the German accent and the name. No one will be able to pronounce it, it's too long. Forget all that. Instead of listening, I worked hard on my accent and on my acting, as hard as I've worked in bodybuilding, to transform myself into a leading man. With Conan the Barbarian and the Terminator, I broke through. The things that the agents said would be a detriment and make it impossible for me to get a job or becoming a leading man, all of a sudden made me an action hero. Or as John Milius said, he was the director of Conan the Barbarian, if we didn't have Schwarzenegger, we would have to build one. When someone tells you no, you should hear yes. The impossible was a word that I love to ignore. The only way to make the possible possible is to try the impossible. If you fail, so what? That's what everyone expects. But if you succeed, you make the world a much better place. Never follow the crowd. Go where it's empty. People apply this kind of common sense all the time, and yet they forget when it comes to their careers. When every immigrant, for instance, was talking about saving up to buy a house, I bought an apartment building instead. When every inspiring actor was trying to land pit parts in movies, I held out to be a leading man. When every politician tried to work his or her way up the ladder from the local office, I went straight for the governorship. I think it's easier to stand out when you aim straight for the top. You figure out what the odds are to have an Austrian farm boy come over to the United States and win all the bodybuilding championships and became the greatest bodybuilder of all times. And then become also the highest paid actor of all times with $30 million. And then, as a Republican, marry into the Kennedy family. And then on top of that, out of nowhere become governor of the great state of California and become kind of the second immigrant governor in the history of California. Writing out my goals became second nature, and so did the conviction that there are no shortcuts